back to Crown Chats. I'm so excited to welcome today's guest. He is an executive producer of some of the top Hallmark movies of the past decade, including Cranberry Christmas, Ghost of Christmas Always, Round and Round, and the Groomsmen trilogy. Please join me in welcoming the legend, Ryan M. Murphy.
Thank you. You're so sweet. You're way too sweet.
Welcome back to Crown Chats. We are so excited to have you.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. Thank you for making it all work and being flexible with my ridiculous schedule.
Absolutely. Hey, you're in demand and we're excited to be here to support it, so it's okay. So let's get into your background a little bit. What is it that got you interested in filmmaking and storytelling?
Well, I grew up on the East Coast where I'm actually at now visiting parents, and I always was interested in movies and filmmaking, but it was pretty unobtainable at the time in like the late 90s, trying to find out how to either get to film school or in theater or any which way possible. And so I always knew I was interested in it. And then I ended up finding a local filmmaker here in Rhode Island and kind of worked for him for a few years to kind of really understand storytelling and what it meant to make movies. And that was really helpful to kind of platform me moving out to LA and working with more really talented filmmakers along the way. And, just starting to find a way to get into this crazy business. And then, Hallmark is great because there's such a need for the storytelling and the fan base knows exactly what they want. So, it's like comfort food for the eyes and the heart. So it's just fun to make these movies.
You are a top executive producer of some of the most beloved Hallmark movies of the past decade. So as the executive producer, what is your role in the creative process of the film start to finish? And how involved are you in the on-set daily execution of the film?
Great question. Ultimately, what I would say is that I'm kind of like, I always look at myself as like a wedding planner, between the network kind of being the bride and then the filmmakers being the groom or vice versa. So it's just like, there's a story that we know that we want to tell. And then I'm just kind of there to make sure that we can facilitate that. And then after a while, you do it a dozen times or so, you start to really understand, okay, what's the core story and what's the real moments that will drive these movies forward, and then figuring out how to facilitate the conversation between the network and then the filmmakers, whether it be the director, the cinematographer, and of course the actors, to like make sure that we're all telling the same story and in like perfect unison. So it's basically like trying to get not just all your extended family, but all your extended family and your closest friends and their extended family to all decide on what dinner they want to have and then go figure out how to make that happen. And on a day-to-day basis, it's just basically that. It's between the storytelling and the writing and the development of the movies, working with the executives to then working with a production service company to figure out how to go make the movie. And then once the director comes on, he'll have a vision or she'll have a vision that changes the dynamic of what we were all thinking. And then the actors show up and can say a line that you would never even think about, which changes the whole course of the movie. And then it's just like, wow, where did that come from? And it's just being a part of that process, witnessing how that comes together. And most importantly, not getting in anyone's way. Because like once something's starting to happen and it feels right, all too often people think that they have to like weigh in and say something, where I'm just like, great, the director has an idea and a vision. Let's make sure that we facilitate and go with that. And, don't let the ship get off course.
Hallmark movies are all about creating magic. So what is something that maybe Hallmark fans wouldn't expect in terms of the effort it takes to make them look so effortless?
Well, the timing, we shoot them in like 3 weeks. So 14, 15 days if we're really lucky. But really what it comes down to is the chemistry. And I say chemistry, whether it's actually like real and organic chemistry or just the acting that comes together that makes it feel effortless. When you get really great cast and they're on the same page, it's just sings. Like, because at the end of the day, everybody wants to see the couple and how they come together and what that journey and story is going to be. And when they're clicking and they're on the same page, supporting cast, it doesn't matter. Like whether we see them on the Eiffel Tower or whether we see them just walking through a park or in a parking lot, it's if they're in mesh, then nobody cares about anything else in the background. So making it so that they're comfortable, and especially when actors are coming in that haven't done Hallmark before, then they're not sure of what to think or how to see the whole thing. If you can pull that off, then, that's where the win comes in.
So we have to talk the Groomsmen trilogy. This is not only one of my favorite movies, but it also just won a GLAAD award for favorite streaming movie for the second installment, Second Chances, which I'm a little biased. It was my favorite of the three because Jonathan is my favorite. But what was it about specifically working with Tyler Hynes, BJ Britt, and Jonathan Bennett on this project, and the story itself that made you believe this film had to be made?
Well, I'm not sure if I'll ever make, I look at it as kind of one movie because we just shot it all at the same time and we block shot it, which meant we were shooting every single thing, every scene all at once. So all the scenes in the bar were all done within 3 to 4 days and then so on. So it was just one massive epic trilogy for us. But it's going to be hard to make anything else like that ever again because over like a year and a half, 2 years, we were developing it and trying to figure out what the story was going to be and how to make that work. And then there was the writer's strike and then, all the other crazy things that had happened. But ultimately, it was Johnny's idea. And we were at Christmas Con and he was like, we're going to get Tyler, make sure he still wants to do this. Let's go find him. And we literally like chased him into the men's room because, it was Christmas Con, so it was busy. And, they knew they were down to do it and they wanted to do it. And so we just started the process and we would literally talk hours and hours every week for a year and a half on the phone together to figure things out. And then the writers came in, Greg and Rick, and then obviously Ron Oliver came in as a director. And it was just like shooting in Europe together. It was like a family. And we were our only concern through the whole thing was never about the timing or the budget or how we would do it. It was who's going to play Pete, who's going to be this third guy, because Jonathan and Tyler are rightfully so very big, strong personalities and immensely talented. And it's like, who's this third guy going to be? And everybody was worried and there was a lot of speculation. And there was a lot of guys that we thought would be perfect, who could be the right one. And then BJ came along and it was just like, he just clicked. He was, there's no way to explain it. The fact that it was like this love fest, this reunion every single day on set, it couldn't have been any better. So I don't know how anything could ever top that experience.
So you have to tell me a little secret. Were you part of the choreography for their dance in any way?
No, I hated the dance. I'll be open about it and I'll say it over and over again. And Felicia, who's our creative exec, is like, we should have a dance. And I knew she was right. Everybody knew she was right. And we were trying to figure out what it was, but we're also trying to like fight the schedule and make sure we're doing it right. And Tyler was basically like, okay, we'll just figure this out. And one of the days we had a bunch of stunts and other things. The three of them just got together and just started like working through it. And we played that song a million times. And I was just worried that it, because I can't dance. And I was like, I don't know how you guys are going to do this. But they pulled it off. And then everybody had so much fun with it. And I was like, great, it's a win. But yeah, no, I vehemently was against the dance just because I was afraid that we wouldn't have time for it. But they pulled it off. So I'm super happy. My fault. I was wrong. And you have some really fun photos on your Instagram feed from being on location during these movies. So do you have any memorable moments or fun behind the scenes stories to share about being on set? Oh, yeah. I mean, the last shot on the island in Greece, we were talking the whole time where we're going to shoot, how we're going to show these scenes. And, it was ultimately Tyler said from the very beginning, he's like, I'm not making these movies unless Johnny gets the movie he wants to make. And we really make his movie that counts, and it's got to be big and it's got to really win. And the idea of, okay, how are we going to jump off of a cliff into the water and like dreaming this shot up? And then we were just looking at stills of different places to go. And we're like, well, what about Santorini? It's like, we can maybe cheat it and then use green screen or do some other things. And then we literally looked at like the tour guide and you see Santorini and you see that little island in like every picture. And that's that little island that we shot on. And the fact that we pulled that off and the fact that we were on this catamaran all day, it was like a party. And then we were shooting these scenes. And then at the very end is when Jonathan did this scene where he just like walks out because he's sad before the movie ends. And we had this amazing drone shot. And then we had to send another boat to get him. So we took the big ship back and he's just standing there on this little Greek island in a tuxedo with this drone shot. And I mean, and by the way, like we ran out of time. So like all the tourists were like coming up to like try to jump off and it was amazing. And like, at the end of the day, I'm watching this happen as I'm sitting on the boat with Tyler. And, Tyler just looks at me with he's like, told you we'd do it. Told you we'd get it. And it was just like, it's fantastic.
I just rewatched that one yesterday, and that's like one of my favorite parts of it. It was the jump or any of that. So I was like, yeah, you got stunt work going on there, but you guys pulled it off so well. I know that that's so many other fans' favorite part of just that. Yeah, it's just such an epic moment of that film and that love story specifically. So
one amazing story about that, which I'll try to find to give to the credit of the costume department, is we're on this little island, which is basically volcanic rock. And all of the tuxedo coats are hanging on the rock. I mean, it's a rock. It's a thousands of year old rock. And so they're all hanging there. They're all perfectly pressed and cleaned. And because, God just decided to like sneeze that day, the rock broke. The piece of volcanic ash fell off. And I'll try to post this on Instagram story. I'll send it to you. And I'm standing there and all of a sudden it comes crashing down. And thank God, our amazing on-set costumer was there. And BJ's coat was white. It wasn't black. It was just volcanic white. And she looked at it and she grabbed it and she ran over Soph and she started wiping it off. So then I put it on and she was like dusting it off. They were still setting up the cameras and they called for his coat and it looked pristine. And like how she pulled that off after it was literally like covered in soot is unbelievable. And like that's just like one of those examples of, there's no dry cleaning on a small volcanic island in Greece in the middle of the day. And yet how she got that jacket so clean so quickly is just beyond me. So
miracle.
The miracle.
So I can't not ask you about the future of the Groomsmen. I think I speak for many fans when we say we would love to see a second, if not a third, installment of this trilogy. Do you see a future or a potential for these characters to continue their story? Or do you have maybe some other fun projects you can share about?
Well, there's a lot of fun things in the future in terms of what's next for the guys and the groomsmen. Like, I think that we're trying to figure out what that is because, haste makes something bad. So kind of finding out like what the stories were and like hearing from the fans, like what they want to see to some degree, because really what we were trying to accomplish with that story, which is why it was, through the eyes of Elizabeth, the daughter, was these three great guys that everybody relates to, whether it's their sons or their brothers or their boyfriends or their husbands' friends or their husbands. It's like, what is the story of these friends and then their love stories and their weddings? And so like when there's more, what is that more? What is that next story to tell in that journey for them? And it's, it's very relatable for each of us because other than, Jonathan, everybody else are, we're just single guys in our, late 20s, no 30s, no. So it's like kidding, like what is that to tell, which is another reason why it was so much fun to make the movies because it was very relatable to us. And then of course we all hear from you guys quite a bit about what the stories should be. So that's it. And in terms of new movies coming up, let's see. I would say I can't think or say of anything that I can say other than Finding Mr. Christmas season 2 for Jonathan, which I got to go hang out on the set because I was shooting a movie in Utah right as he was getting ready to start. And so we got to get a full tour of the house and go through it all. And I mean, Jonathan just doesn't turn his mind off. And so he just thinks and adds and let's do this and let's do that. And he just keeps it going. So it was great. Within 1 week, we were at the GLAAD Awards. And then at the end of the week, we were at the Finding Mr. Christmas house as he was setting it up and starting second season. So that's going to be great.
Yeah,
I know it's going to be great because he's been telling me about it nonstop.
And that brings us to our final segment, which I call a little crown to crown, which is simply a rapid fire response. I'm going to give you a topic and you're going to give me the first answer that comes to mind.
Not prepared for this at all. Okay.
That's what makes it great. Dream filming location.
Tuscany.
If you could switch places with someone else on set today to experience their perspective, who would it be?
Oh, that's a great question. Craft services.
Do you have a special talent for any of that, or just thought it would be fun to be around the food?
Everybody likes to go hang out there, and everybody makes fun with the craft service person because they go there hungry, or they're not even hungry. They're just looking for something, and you just kind of want a snack, or you want to that's when you go there. And then that's the person who gets to hand people the thing that they're looking for at just the right amount of time. So that's probably the best.
If they made a Hallmark movie all about Ryan M. Murphy, who would play you?
I have no answer for that. I have no idea. I would say I have no idea, but when it comes to heart and emotion and somebody who, again, you get BJ Britt. I mean, that's just a guy who, Johnny and Tyler are too easy because at this point they're way past family. So I'll say, BJ, because I've only known him now for a year and a half, but I feel like we've all known each other forever. He just has a soul that's untouchable.
What is the legacy you want to leave in the Hallmark universe? And what do you hope that people most remember about your work and your films?
I wouldn't wish to have anything in the world like that, for sure. I don't want anybody to know I was even there. I just want it to all work, right? It's like when you go to a great restaurant, if it's a great restaurant, it's been there for 100 years, then 50 years ago, there was a chef, 40 years ago, there was a chef. It's there's the machine that works and there's no one person that can really have anything to do with it. But one thing I will say, and if you talk to him, he'll give me some credit for it. But I met Antonio Cupo on the first Hallmark movie that I did. And we were sitting at the chairs and, you're talking and you're spending 3 weeks together, 15 hours a day. And he's Italian, I'm Italian. We became really fast friends. And he was acting. And I said, why didn't he owned 2 restaurants at the time? He's, back and forth from Italy, starting a family, doing all these crazy things. I was like, why aren't you producing? And he's like, I don't think I have the time. And I was like, you should be a producer. You're a producer. You should be producing. And then now he's producing more than I am. And that makes me happiest than anything because, to see him jump into this new thing and then just, killing it. And then that's the best thing to see is how much he's doing and how busy he is. He's literally acting in something right now, but then when he's not acting, he's producing it at the same time. So that's the biggest win for me.
And lastly, a favorite charity or organization to give a shout out to that holds a place in your heart.
Well, I would say that the easier ones are the Alts one because Nikki Deloche for sure for Alzheimer's and Doctors Without Borders. But what I would say is now I have to look up what it's called. But my really good friend started a nonprofit to help save all of these animals from the LA fires and then other places as well. I don't know, it's just called I Save Animals, but it's a nonprofit that she started, and it's Claudine Book, who is the sweetest person on the planet. A long time ago, she was Miss USA, and I did a beauty pageant with her that I was producing. And then she was literally just anything you think about a beauty pageant that's negative is the polar opposite of what Claudine Book is. And then she's just an angel, and she literally spends all her time saving animals. So I would say that.
And that wraps us up. Thank you so much for being here. I am such a huge fan of your work, and I'm so excited for the projects you have coming soon. So please let everybody know where they can find and follow you to keep up with all the excitement coming from Ryan M. Murphy.
Thank you. My Instagram is first Ryan said, because it's at first Ryan said, and then he changed his mind. But that's the easiest way. But I don't have anything all that interesting. I usually just love it because it's a good way that if I do go to different places and I post about it, then my friends know that I'm there. So I'm on the East Coast right now. I may go to somewhere in Europe in the next few days. So it's plenty of times I post that I'm somewhere and then friends are there too. And they say, hey, we're here. And we all get to hang out. So that's the win.
And there's some awesome dog pictures on there as well. So
yeah, Shade gets to come with me everywhere. And even now, we're here and he's just hanging out.
Yay!
Here. And then I'm going to take him for another walk.
And that wraps up another episode of Crown Chats. Thank you so much for joining me. with all the past guests and, of course, all the fun ones we still have to come. So please be sure you are subscribed to this YouTube channel. And, of course, follow me, Haley, at Crown the Halls on Instagram. And don't forget, we have some sweet merch styles with Dressing Festive. You can find the information for that in this episode, as well as in my Instagram bio. So until next time, wear your crown. Your crown may tilt, may it never fall, but you are beautiful and you are strong.